Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. We are so excited. This is going to be so amazing. We got this opportunity to spend some time with Mr. Jeff Brown. I want to welcome everybody that is here. I wish I could see everybody's comments. I won't be able to see everybody's comments while we're doing this live, but here's a couple of points I would like to bring out. This is going to be a lot of great information, so make sure you have a notepad and pen ready to go so that you can focus on what we are actually talking about. But you can also take down some notes. If you got something that a question kind of comes up, or what about this, write that down real quick so that you can go back and you can either drop it into the comments here or we'll get to it afterwards. The other thing I encourage you to do is let us know where you're tuning in from live. Hashtag if you're watching it live, hashtag replay if you're watching it on a replay. Let us know what part of the country or world. I know we're going to have some people on here from all over the world as well. So let us know where you're tuning in from so we can say hello and also just have a better understanding. And the more generation that we get in the comments, just conversations that are going in the comments while we're going on, is going to help push this out to more and more people on your contacts that will also help the viewing audience. And then the other thing I will say, if you would like to, you can share this to your own Facebook feed. So you just go right underneath there where it says share it to your feed, and we'll even get this out to more and more people. If you're already with CILI By Design, I highly encourage you to do that. This is not about recruiting. This is about sharing the information, all right? So also let me say this up front. If you're seeing this from someone other than me, you've been invited to it, or somebody has shared this to you on a recording, however you've come across this, and you've been working with somebody else or somebody else introduced that to you, please get with them. If it is through me and you're hearing about this all through my Facebook feed or wherever, then I encourage you to reach out to me. So basically get back with the person that you're hearing this from or are invited to from. And that will help us all build and help you get to the right person to help you get this done right. All right. So with that being said, let me go to this. Unfortunately, because of this industry of network marketing, the government watches us very, very closely. So we are unable to make any kind of medical or healthcare claims. What we do know about these amazing products from CILI By Design is they work. All right. And the bottom line is that's what we're all interested in, right? Can we take something that is all natural, nothing artificial whatsoever, that is actually going to help our bodies? And that is what we have here. Just understand that the CILI By Design products have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illness or disease. So with that out of the way, hello, Alec. I'm seeing everybody coming out. We got Marlene from Spain. Nice to see you. We got St. Martin is in the house and people from all over the United States as well. So good to see you. Keep dropping those in there, hashtag live and where you're tuning in from. That is awesome. Love to see y'all and welcome everybody. So we are very fortunate today to have this gentleman, Mr. Jeff Brown, who lives outside or in the area of Denver, Colorado, not too far from where Elka and I are here in Keystone, Colorado. And he was really, truly inspired by this gentleman who you may recognize as Dr. Ben Carson. Jeff will share a little bit on his story. I don't want to take away his thunder there, but just understand that Jeff comes here with over 30 years in the medical field. He was a surgical first assistant. I think I got that finally right, Jeff. A surgical first assistant. And he was really 30 years. I mean, he's did operations. He was in the operating room, right? So let me see. I think I got another picture of him actually there. There he is, right? So he worked. He's the guy that basically handed the tools to the surgeon. He would oversee the different operations that were going on. He's done all different kinds of open heart surgeries, neuro type surgeries, urology, GYN, trauma. He worked a lot with robotics and many other things. And Jeff also had his own kidneys replaced. And I'm not sure if we're going to have time to get into that story, but just understand this is a gentleman that just all operated and worked on other people's health, but he's also gone through his own health challenges as well. So I really believe that there's not a better individual to be able to help us understand what's going on with these amazing products with the body, because he really gets it. And what really got one of the things that got Jeff inspired was our nanotechnology. And one of the things was the glyco-biological blend, which I had no clue. I just knew it was there. but Jeff really got it, and he really understood it. And this is what really was hook, line, and sinker for him. Not only our aquaceutical nanotechnology, but also the glyco-blend. And now with our new product, Ageless, which is what we're going to spend most of the time on with this interview, we're really going to start diving into all that. So let me bring down those slides. Let me bring up Mr. Jeff Brown. Welcome, Jeff. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We are so glad to hear you. So even though I probably didn't even do even enough, even close to enough of the accolades that you deserve, how about giving us a quick background from you, Jeff, to introduce you to everybody, where you came from, what got you interested in this medical field, and just a little bit maybe on your experience there.
Yes, I am originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I grew up there in the late 60s, early 70s. And just as any other kid, I wanted to do something great with my life. But just as a lot of people on this call, my life kind of took a different turn for a while. And when I decided to really knuckle down and do something serious with my life, I was inspired by Dr. Ben Carson simply by seeing him on TV. And it was back in 1986 when he had separated Siamese twins joined at the head. Nobody had ever done it without sacrificing one of the babies. So that got me inspired. And of course, I decided to enroll in college. And 7 years after I graduated, I was operating with Dr. Ben Carson. So I started as a surgical technologist. That's the person who passes the instruments to the surgeon. And I think maybe 5 or 6 years later, I went back to school to become a surgical first assistant, the person who actually stands across from the surgeon and helps him to carry out the procedures.
All right.
So I did that for over 30 years, and I operated on everything from the brain to your big toe, including open heart, robotics. As you can see, I was operating with a robot in that picture. Uh, Brain surgery, trauma, GYN, urology. So over the years of being in surgery, of course, early on, seeing disease and disease processes take place within the body, I didn't want to know just how to treat it. I wanted to know why it was happening in the first place. So way back then, I was very curious as to disease and disease process. So when these new technologies, such as the robot and things like that, would come along, I would naturally gravitate towards that type of technology.
Awesome.
So that brings us to nanotechnology.
Yeah. So let me ask you that question. How did you get, well, I know you're going to get into it with the nanotechnology, but maybe while you're talking about the nano, then also bring up what it was, how you came across CILI by Design, first of all, and then what got you excited with that nanotechnology and everything.
Yes, I was introduced to CILI by Design by Michelle Blush, and I was involved with another venture that was in the nanotechnology space. And Michelle gave me a call, and she asked me a few questions about nano-sized CBD. And to be quite honest with you, I had never heard of nano-sized CBD. And she had my attention. And what really got my attention is she was asking these questions for her daughter. And I could hear her daughter in the background. And I know a mother's love because that's what actually saved my life was my mother's love. And once I talked to Michelle, I think a few days later, I was part of a VGO and didn't even know what a VGO was. And I found myself on the phone with Gabriel Rondo, and we talked for a while. And the next day, the product was at my door. And I'll tell you, as soon as I looked at the bottle, I knew I was in the right place. And I'll tell you guys exactly what I mean by that is when I looked at the bottle, if you could see that on the bottom, well, that's kind of shiny there, but on the bottle, there is GMP certification, FDA registered facilities, and I think it was vegan friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those things told me that there were controls on the product. And coming from the medical field and being a kidney transplant patient, I like controls. I like to know that what you tell me is in that bottle is going to be in that bottle every single time. So that was the first thing that caught my attention. And then the ingredients. I had to sit down to read the ingredients. There were so many. And when I began to go through these ingredients and look at what was in the product, one of the things that blew me away right away was the proprietary glycobiological blend.
Yeah, right here.
That actually blew me away. And the reason that blew me away is because I had been reading papers by Dr. Hans Vink, and he was a foremost authority on microvascular health.
Okay.
And he and his research team figured out that inside of your capillaries is something called the glycocalyx. And the glycocalyx is like little hairs. And these little hairs protect and strengthen, amongst other things, the inner wall of an artery, preventing arterial disease. So that really excited me. And as Guy said, I'm a kidney transplant patient. So I have 3 kidneys. We don't take out your native kidneys unless they have tumors or cancer or something like that. Well, with 3 kidneys in the glycobiological blend, I could see, because I get lab work every 3 months, I could actually see the difference in the lab work. But now when you use that blend and it's nano-sized, oh my goodness.
What is the nano sizing doing? What it's explained for the people that aren't as familiar.
Yes.
When you get all excited about this nano sizing, what is that actually doing for the person that's taking our product?
Well, when you look at nanotechnology, things work differently on the nanoscale. So you could take an aspirin and then you nanosize that aspirin. It doesn't mean that you're making the aspirin smaller. What it means is that you're breaking it down to its molecular level. So now you have all of the molecules within that aspirin. And instead of that aspirin being able to sit on your desk, it will cover the floor of your entire house in a molecular level. And when you break things down to that level and you use the ultra pure water purification systems that CILI has in place, and you encapsulate these particles, they go right through the mucous membranes of your mouth and right into your bloodstream. So this keeps those particles from having to go through the digestive tract where they go to die. So that's the importance of nanotechnology.
Yeah, because my understanding is like when a person's taking a typical vitamin or supplement, that you're only getting about 10% absorption to the cells, by the time all that processes are done. So with us, we're getting, well, the company states 99% to the cells, correct?
That's correct. And again, the reason that is because of the size of the molecule. When you break a molecule down to less than 10 nanometers, now it's able to go in and out of the cell to do its work, to deliver its payload, if you will. And that's incredibly important, even in pharmaceuticals, because pharmaceutical companies are now looking at nanotechnology for that exact reason. And medicine dosage was the problem, because we knew if you took a pill, you weren't going to absorb 100%, maybe 10 to 15%. That's why you get it over time.
Yeah. And again, we've got a lot of people joining us. I want to welcome everybody out that's coming on. Again, and I see we got people from all over the United States. So keep sending, Switzerland is in the house. So keep letting us know where you're coming in from if you're just joining us, and whether you're watching it live or replay. Now, Jeff, as we talk about our original product, which is this Swish CBD, which is what you were originally introduced. Now we're going to have a new product we're going to move into here shortly. But before we do that, I would like, you introduced this to somebody that's becoming a friend of all of us, Mr. Gilbert Wheeler. And Gilbert's experience on this product is nothing short of astounding. Now, we've had a lot of amazing testimonies, and not everybody's got major health challenges. You know, this can be used just as an overall dietary supplement, right? Just to get your body better nutrition. But there is a story that has surfaced. He started, I believe, in December on this product after you reaching out to him. Would you like to share with everybody a little bit about Gilbert's story?
I'd love to. Gilbert Wheeler and I are friends of over 20 years. And he lived here in Colorado, and we were part of the Tuskegee Airmen Foundation. And Gilbert actually introduced me to some of the Tuskegee Airmen. And Gilbert's a great guy. If you guys have ever heard Gilbert talk, he's that way all the time, the kindest person you ever want to meet. Well, he had some health challenges. He got into a few car accidents and ended up with traumatic brain injury. He also ended up with hypoxia, low oxygen levels, which meant he had to leave Colorado and go down to sea level. And I would call Gilbert every now and then. We would talk, but Gilbert couldn't really hold a conversation for more than maybe 10 minutes before I could tell that things were beginning to short circuit. And when I got the CBD Swish, one of the first people I thought about was Gilbert. And I called him and I sent him the sample pack, the 3-day sample pack. And he called me when he received the product and asked me how to use it. And I told Gilbert how to use the product. And he and his wife were standing side by side as they were talking to me on the telephone. And after he swished, I say maybe 5 minutes later, I just kept hearing, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow." And it was as if Gilbert's brain was coming back to life.
And this is because of this nanotechnology, right?
Yes, because in your body, you have an endocannabinoid system. So in medicine, we don't even talk about the endocannabinoid system because the only thing that works on it was something that was illegal, marijuana. And so there was very little talk about the endocannabinoid system within traditional medicine. But as I began to talk to Michelle, I began to do a little more research on the endocannabinoid system and what helps the endocannabinoid system, cannabinoids. So we have CBD, CBG, and over 30 other cannabinoids in the CILI Swish. And every cell has that receptor. So if you think about it as a lock and a key mechanism,
okay,
you have this cell and you have these nanoparticles. The key goes in, unlocks the cell, and deposits the nanoparticles. Amazing. And that lights up the brain, the microbiological, the glyco-biological blend opens the capillaries that go deep into the brain, as well as in the kidneys, the liver, the heart, and blood flow can begin to be restored. And even a small amount of blood flow carrying a lot of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and nootropics can make a huge difference. And we're seeing that in Gilbert.
Yep. And that's what you saw. Yeah. So I was going to say, that's what you saw in Gilbert. And I know the first time you introduced me to him on the phone, we did a phone call, 3-way call, and Gilbert was talking in sentences, and he was so amazed because he's like, he kept telling me, "Guy, I could not have done this before Swish." And now fast forward 2-3 months later, what are we seeing, Jeff?
Gilbert is able to get on his computer for hours. Gilbert will call me and do an entire training with me. And I'll call him 3 or 4 days later. He remembered everything that we talked about. He's able to go out in public with his wife. He's walking 3 miles on the treadmill, which is incredible. So I'm just, to be able to introduce such a product to a friend and see the amazing results that we're seeing is worth more than gold. It's just priceless.
And that's the thing. When you think about this is something that costs $72.50 retail. The company will you have the option to get a free spray every single month. I mean, for $72.50, what is that? A little over $2 a day. you can change somebody's life, and you're doing it all naturally without any medications. Again, we're not making any medical claims here. This is just some results that people have gotten. So it's a very, very powerful story, and I thank you for sharing that so well. There's so much more to it. I know last Thursday night or every Thursday we do a product call. So anybody that's watching here tonight, you're more than welcome to join us on our product call at CILIproductcall.com. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and it's on Thursday nights. And get back with the person that invited you here, and they can pass you on the password for that as well. There is a password. So what I want to do now is what I'm really excited about is our new product, Swish Ageless. And to start talking about that, I'm going to introduce everybody to this gentleman, Dr. David Sinclair. If you look at this gentleman, he is literally 50 years old, and his biological age is 31. You're like, holy smokes, how in the world did he do that? Well, he's a Harvard professor, and his passion, actually, if you read his book, it's called Lifespan. He will explain the story with his mom, and it set him on a path to figure out what the heck is going on with this aging, because his mom went through, a challenging period of time that eventually led to her passing. And so that kind of focused his energy into aging. And what he declared back in 1997 is that aging is actually a disease. Now, nobody else had ever really said that. And it kind of like everybody, a crackpot, right? Who is this guy coming up saying that aging is a disease? Well, he and his research team over the years have since proved basically that that's what it is. They got into the details and all their research. He's been doing this, like I said, for well over 20 years, almost 30 years. And in fact, the World Health Organization recognized in 2018, they added an addendum to recognize that basically aging, no kidding, is a disease. So this anti-aging movement is moving very, very quickly. In fact, somebody had just sent me a video last night that I watched from a health guru, and his information was already outdated and is only a year old. So it's just amazing how fast this is happening. So as we get into it, this was a protocol that Dr. David Sinclair was taking. Not everything here, actually. What happened is Brad Hager, the owner of CILI By Design, got turned on to this about a year and a half ago or so, started studying it, and he got really serious with it well over a year ago now. And then he started taking David Sinclair's recommended natural protocol. And this is mostly what Brad Hager was taking. As you can see here, almost $700 a month. This is before tax and shipping, so it is over $700 a month. There are some ingredients in here, though, that Sinclair was not talking publicly about. One of those is spermidine. And Brad was not just using Dr. Sinclair as the authority on this. There's a lot of other researchers doing a lot of work. And so he started researching what all these other people are doing. There's another product in here that's called metformin that is not legal in the United States as a nutritional supplement. It is everywhere else, but it's not here. So what Brad found was this one called berberine that is actually just as effective or even more effective than metformin. And now just recently, Dr. David Sinclair, a month or less than a month ago, came out with saying that AKG is the molecule that's actually going to help recover lost information in this genetic duplication process of the cells. Maybe Jeff can explain a little bit about. But my point is, this product, over a year in research and development, is taking basically Dr. David Sinclair's research of almost 30 years and then combining it with our technology, this aquaceutical nanotechnology. We are the very first company in the entire world to do this, to take all of Dr. Sinclair's research and combine it into a single product. And because of our nanotechnology, no one else in the world can actually do this right now. And we're going to move into one of these ingredients first, which is this NAD. And I'm going to have, these are just some quick results. This is just a 30-day sample of some of the results that we were getting with our ageless products. We want to get into this NAD. So with that being said, Jeff, can you just explain to everybody the importance of NAD, which is the number one ingredient in our product? There's more NAD than anything else in there. but just kind of, if you would, just share with the folks, why is this NAD so important?
Yes, NAD is an incredible molecule. It's an essential molecule, and is crucial for life. No NAD, no life. And one of the things that it does is it converts our food into energy that can be used by the cells. Um, it's also what we call a coenzyme. A coenzyme helps other enzymes throughout the body to do their job. And without NAD, these enzymes can't do their job. And the last count, there was about 350 enzymes that are NAD dependent. That means they don't function without the presence of NAD. So NAD is also a very important molecule in aging. And as you can see from this chart, one of the things that NAD will do is it'll repair damaged DNA. We can go down and it supplies energy to the mitochondria. It helps in the process of autophagy, and we'll get into that. But NAD is so important that without NAD, you would have no life.
And is it not true? I've done a little research on this myself. Being new to all this, I'm a pilot, right? So I get into I like getting into the details. I like to figure out why things work, how they work. And so when this NAD was starting to first surface, I'm like, what's this all about? And one of the things that I came to learn is that as we age, as you're kind of alluding to, the body naturally produces less and less NAD to like 45% by the time we're 60 or something. Is that sound familiar?
That's absolutely correct.
So
and when that happens, as you can see here, the arrow NAD plus and is pointing down, the lower the amount of NAD found in the body, the worse it is. So when we look at patients who have heart problems, for instance, who have dementia, whole lots of things, we notice that the NAD levels are lower. And so quite naturally, if you increase NAD levels, then you decrease the diseases that take place as a result of aging. So all of these are age-related diseases. Gotcha. And that's what Dr. Sinclair is talking about when he talks about longevity and restoring the cells to a certain point. So when we begin to look at that, the body has its own recycling system,
okay,
which is quite interesting within itself. Every cell in your body can actually rebuild itself if given the raw materials to do so. And the raw materials to do that is right here.
Interesting.
Right here in this ageless. And so there's a process that takes place within the cell called autophagy. And what autophagy is, it's cellular. It's a cell actually eating itself. And so if we take a look at the cross section of a cell, and you look at all of the different.
There we go.
Now, if you look at all the different organelle that you find inside of a cell, so you have a mitochondria here, NAD helps that to produce energy, and the mitochondria is the energy or the engine of the cell, and it produces ATP as energy for itself. And then you look over here, it's called the Golgi apparatus. This is where proteins, it's like a almost like a post office. So when you have DNA breakages and things of that nature, your cells will produce proteins. And inside the Golgi apparatus, wherever you need these new proteins and these new cells, that's how they know how to get there. But if you look at these little things right here, these little balls, these are called lysosomes. Now, what a lysosome will do is if any piece of an organelle inside of this cell, including your DNA, happens to become defective or experiences a mutation, then the uh, the cell will summons these lysosomes, and they will eat the broken piece of DNA, and their waste is actually a new piece of DNA that goes back in its place.
Which is not
That
what we want, right?
Yes, that's exactly what you want, is a new piece of DNA to
Gotcha.
replace the broken piece of DNA.
Gotcha.
So that's the beauty of autophagy, but autophagy can't work without NAD.
Ah,
So if you don't have high enough levels of NAD, this process will slow down and you get age related diseases because now your cells and the mitochondria and everything else are constantly taking these hits and breaking apart, and not having the ability to reassemble these parts quick enough results in aging.
interesting. So the NAD that we have that's going directly into the cells is helping the DNA to basically stay healthier, if you will.
Is help, yes, to rebuild the damaged pieces. So
Interesting.
there's something inside this product also called sirtuins. And sirtuins are really, really incredible. And I'm going through my notes here. Sirtuins are a family of 7 genes. And these are the genes that Dr. Sinclair happened to be working with. It's a family of 7 genes, and they're linked to aging and longevity. So when these genes, and they are also NAD dependent. So they can't work without NAD. So what they do is they help keep your endurance, your heart, your cognitive function, and all of that stuff healthy. They also regulate cellular health, and they function to influence the aging process. So they work on the mitochondria by promoting and regulating biogenesis, which is the making of more mitochondria. So when you begin to look at this product and you look at what's in the product, it is absolutely amazing. And these sirtuins also repair DNA, and they help to get rid of what we call zombie cells.
There you go. Yeah. Zombie cells.
And
He talks about that in his book.
yes,
What's a zombie
um,
cell?
well, a zombie cell, we call it a senescent cell. So these cells are really, really cells that we need, and they're good for you, of course. But these cells multiply. And there were a couple of scientists back in the 60s, I think it was Falick and Morehouse, and they came up with the theory. And the theory was that these cells that are really important in embryonic health as well as wound healing and things of that nature. Well, these cells could only multiply maybe 50 times before they would die off. And these senescent cells are those cells, but some of them don't die. And they don't divide, but they don't die. But what they do is they start to secrete chemicals that affect other cells and cause inflammation in other cells. And that inflammation eventually turns into disease process or aging. And when you look at the technology, I'm telling you, I just keep going back to the technology. When you look at the speed at which these things are happening, and it's rather mind blowing, especially to somebody who spent 30 years looking inside the human body at disease process.
As you have.
And when you look at this on the molecular level and you see what these things are doing, it is absolutely amazing.
So many of us who are not trained medical professionals like yourselves, and I can tell you, even most doctors don't understand all this at the level that you are speaking to right now, Jeff. But for most of us, we just want to feel better, right? And some people get excited. Yeah, I'll try it. Well, I didn't feel anything immediately, and we're not necessarily. Most people aren't into all the deep science and everything. But what I'm gathering from what you're saying is there is a lot going on behind the scenes that the average person probably doesn't have a clue, may not necessarily feel something right away as a result. But when these products are doing what they're doing over a longer period of time, what's the result then?
Wow. Now, that's the $1 million question. And here's the answer. There are a set of genes called the OSK genes. And these genes are genes that Dr. Sinclair had been working on to actually reverse age. And it was proven that he could reverse the age of a gene by up to 60 to 75%.
That's incredible. Say that
And
again.
these,
Say that again,
yes,
Jeff.
60 to 75% a reversal in the biological age of a gene. And these genes are normally only turned on in embryos. And they serve to keep stem cells young. So what Dr. Sinclair and his team did is you don't want to turn on too many of these genes because then you'll turn into an embryo or a tumor. So what they did is you talked about AKG, and that's alpha kinetic glutarate. And it's a molecule that works on these OSK genes, but they figured out how to measure how far back in age they want these genes to go.
Okay.
So they only turn on a few of them. But these genes are so powerful that early studies have shown that people who use AKG, once they get a blood test like the live blood test that we have in our presentations, it has been proven that their blood has reversed in age by as much as 2 years.
Wow. Wow.
So the work that Dr. Sinclair is doing is absolutely necessary. And we talked about the zombie cells, and there's something in this product again called Senolytics. Now, Senolytics, they are a class or a group of, some of them are drugs and some of them are not. The ones that are found in CILI are polyphenols, and the two senolytics that are found in CILI, and these senolytics, they serve a specific purpose as well. So they'll give off quercetin. I'm sorry, inside this bottle is quercetin and fisetin, and these help the senolytic process to break down those zombie cells and get rid of them. So they're doing a lot of therapy with elderly people in these senolytics for just that reason, to slow down the aging process. Thereby, they're trying to slow down the onset of age-related diseases. So in this bottle for $72.50, what I can tell you is that's a bargain for what's in this bottle. That is an absolute bargain, number one. And one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, why did I join CILI? Well, let me not neglect to say this. One of the main reasons I joined CILI, besides the technology, was the ownership. I'll say that again, the ownership of the company. And Brad and Marcia Hager have been nothing but spectacular throughout the whole process. And Guy and his wife Elka, they have been so supportive and helpful throughout this process. Now I could tell everybody on this call, I did not retire from medicine to join a network marketing company. I did not. And when I saw the product in this space, I had to go pinch myself quite a few times because I understand nanotechnology. And if you start doing a little research, you'll find that this technology is used in a bunch of applications outside of health and wellness. But one thing I did know is that in order for a person to get involved with such a company, with such technology, as you could see in the pictures that I was operating with a robot, I wanted to be involved with that company, but it would have cost me about $1 million.
Mm.
So when I saw this opportunity attached to a network marketing company, at first I was a little hesitant, but after I got to know Guy and Elka and Brad and Marcia, one thing I understood is this ain't your granddaddy's network marketing company. I can
That's
tell you
right.
that right now. And
That's
this
right.
ain't your granddad's network marketing product. See, the thing that drives a network marketing company, in my opinion, is the leadership, the ownership, and the product. That's it. So I didn't mean for that to be a sales pitch if it came across as such, but I am so incredibly excited about this product. I get calls every day from people who give me their personal testimonials. And again, I consider myself blessed to have been able to have a great career in medicine, retire, and then start a new career in wellness.
Yeah. And it didn't come across as a sales pitch. It came across as passion, something that you're very, very deeply passionate about. And that's why I also wanted to have you on here, Jeff, is so that people can get a sense of what this is really all about. It is truly, yes, it's in network marketing. Yes, you can make a lot of money here. But first and foremost, this is really about helping people. And the product, the technology that Brad and Marcia Hager came across, you talked about the mother's love. This all came and got started around their love for their son. They were looking for a natural solution to help him out with his pain, and they found this technology. This was all created by 4 scientists with a collection of 9 PhDs, some really smart folks. And the product finally worked for their son, Devin. And that they had no desire to start this company. So I'm very appreciative that you shared that part, Jeff, because it's important for people to understand where is this coming from. This is not about a few people trying to make a whole bunch of money off of other people by coming up with some run of the mill type of product. No, this is a totally different approach to this business model. And what we do know is that this product absolutely works. We've got testimonies throughout it's incredible, the number of testimonies, just like you mentioned as well, Jeff. And one of the things I do want to share as we start getting ready to close this out is Jeff Brown is building his own business. And if you know Jeff personally and you want to reach out to him, that's great. We've got a lot of people that are members here at CILI By Design. I saw Angelia out of Denmark is here, as well as Switzerland, Spain. They're all over the place, right? As well as here in the United States. And I would encourage you, work with the people that you're working with. Not everybody is in Jeff Brown's line of business. So if you're not in Jeff's initial line of business, please work with the person that you're working with. If you got questions for Jeff, don't over inundate him with messages through Facebook Messenger, asking him all these different types of questions. I encourage you to go through the person that you're working with, eventually get it to me. If it's a very worthy question, we'll do our best to get it answered. But I'm asking you, please do not just start reaching out to Jeff Brown directly unless you're in his line of business. But Jeff, I do want to thank you so much for this. I thought hopefully a lot of people gained a lot of information from it. As we do close out, I'm going to let you have the final word here. I'm going to bring this up one more time as well. Again, no medical or healthcare claims. The FDA does not get into supplements, and that we are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illness or disease. But what we do know is that these products absolutely work. So, Jeff, I'll give you the final words.
Yes, thanks, Guy. I'll tell you guys a quick story. And I had to go to the doctor Monday to get a checkup. And I had my labs on my telephone before the nurse even walked in the room. And the first nurse walked in and we talked and we did our little assessment. And then she went to get my nurse practitioner. And when my nurse practitioner walked into the room, she said my name really loud, Mr. Brown. Your kidney is so happy. She startled me with her excitement. And you mentioned that most doctors wouldn't know what nanotechnology is. Well, she asked me, she said, well, what are you doing? And I said, have you ever heard of nanonutrients? And the whole subject changed. So don't feel as though you have to know everything about the product and what it does, but do yourself a favor and learn a little bit about it, because your healthcare providers, 9 times out of 10, they haven't heard about nanotechnology. And so you're going to have to do a little bit of work to educate them as well as your friends and family. And don't try to learn all of this stuff. I mean, it took me over 30 years. You'll hurt yourself trying to learn all of this in a week, and you don't need to, because you have team members, you have upline, and you have people other than myself who know a lot about the product, especially Mr. Briolando. And it was a pleasure getting on here and talking to everybody. And it was a pleasure, Guy, to come on. And as we talked about before, we might have to do another one of these real soon,
I was
because
just going to say, hey, the folks listening right now live, if you would like us to do another interview, maybe on another subject, or go into depth in more one of the areas of this subject, especially as we start getting more and more testimonials coming back. One of the slides I didn't show was biological aging. Just from being on this product alone, we are showing people being 4, 5, 6 years and more younger, because we have the NAD, we have the resveratrol, we have the MSM, part of Dr. Sinclair's protocol. It's all nanosize. So we're already, just with this, seeing results. That's the original Swish CBD. What's going to happen in 6 months to a year from now, Jeff? It's going to be amazing. So if you would like to see Jeff and I do another one of these interviews, maybe in a month or two, drop that in the comments as well. Shoot me a message, and maybe we can arrange that to happen. So I want to wish everybody a wonderful afternoon. Reminder, tonight, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, we have our product call. We've got at least 4 live testimonies. We might be squeezing in a 5th one. We'll see. So you're going to want to check that out as well. So with that being said, everybody, thank you for all the people that have tuned in from all over the world. And Jeff, especially to you and your beautiful wife, thank you for the time to share your knowledge with all of us.
You're welcome. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Good day, everybody. Bye-bye.